I'm Patrick Powers. I'm the founder of Entrepreneurs in London. This is being distributed to a wider audience, but we have announced it on Entrepreneurs in London. So I know that there are some of our members there. And just really quickly about Entrepreneurs in London. We are the biggest business meetup group in Europe, second biggest in the world. Now we're 28,000 members. And our purpose is to connect entrepreneurs and give them the knowledge they need to go out there and make a huge difference, become successful, achieve their dreams, and go out and make an impact in the world. That's our purpose. And today is part of that. A while ago, I connected with this amazing guy, Kieran here. We were actually working together on a project we were hired to do for a software company. And I really got to like Kieran, highly respect his ethics, and but also he's like deep insights into social media. And he's kind of a tech guru as well. Now, I'm not into tech, but I know that this guy just knows his stuff. So we talked about how we can deliver some value to the overall business community, and we agreed that we can do something a little bit special, because there's so much stuff out there that's just like, oh, we'll give you a song and a dance, and then here's a pitch, and just talking about something really conceptual or theoretical that you can't really use. And we didn't think that this is very helpful. So we wanted to do something that's quite the opposite, something really practical. And that's why we're here today. We will open up for questions at the end if we have time. We don't really know how long this is going to take. How long is the string? We don't know. So Kieran, over to you.
Yeah, I'm Kieran.
Just say no. So this guy is the bee's knees. I mean, he's been in this industry for 25 years. Well, why are you making you're making faces when I say you're the bee's knees?
I pretended to be younger, you see. I can say it's not 25 years, it's only 5. I'm only in my 20s, but sadly not. Look, no, I sort of say I've sat between technology and business for 25 years. I've sort of done both roles. And you're right. Look, I think part of this session has come out of our frustration of, and forgive my language, listening to bullshit about, either A, that you can suddenly get 1,000 sales overnight, or you should do A, B, C, D, and E, and they'll all magically work. But as you and I know, Patrick, there are some really simple things you can do, and they're really effective. And that's probably what you and I have done over the last 20-25 years, probably taken that amount of time to work them out. So looking forward to sharing those with folks today. And again, you're right, look, we'll do Q&A at the back end of this. But look, if you have a really important question, or you want to know something, or you want to clarify something, then jump in, because this is born out of probably our frustration of seeing a load of rubbish out there, and we'll do our best to give you our best advices. We'll be highly transparent and honest. I have to say, lots of stuff that I've done over the years has not worked, but all that is what I describe as brain food that takes me to where we are today. And as Patrick mentioned, him and I get along crazily well. So look, let's have a bit of fun, and hopefully the goodness you go away with whatever insights we can offer you. And if you have suggestions for something in the future, let us know as well.
Sure. Super. And so just really briefly, I mean, my specialty is marketing, it's copywriting, it's getting the right message, whether it's in a written message marketing campaign, or it's in a pitch, it's in a video. That's kind of my deal. And I'll give you some really practical tips. In fact, some tips that are quite advanced, but really actually easy to implement today as well. Some tips that only the best of the best copywriters understand and use. So Kieran's deal is social selling. Do you want to get started, Kieran, and walk us through some stuff about why we should be using social selling, and some practical tips about how to get better at it?
Yeah, just of course. And look, anybody, if I say something you don't understand, just stop me and I'll explain. The world has moved dramatically over the last 12, 18 months. And what used to be the case when we were trying to sell to folks was turn up at conferences, meet someone, grab their business card, and then afterwards you would try and hunt her down and then try and sell. That was one of the facets of what was pre-COVID. What you also noticed was, I call it interruption marketing. So people would have made 200 phone calls a day. They would have blasted something out and been really unsubtle when it comes to selling. And what has appeared, or appears to have happened over the last year or two, is that people don't have those opportunities to meet face to face. And that's okay. So how then do you create opportunities in the real world, of this new digital world, to create those connections, to create those sales opportunities? And for me, it's something called social selling. And what that means is using social media, and then a variety of techniques, which are, again, and using them ethically, I call it persuasion science or behavioral science, whatever you want to call it. But using methods and techniques that have been established over the last, 50, 100 years, where you're attempting to get people to know, like, and trust you by delivering, a huge amount of valuable content to that audience to earn the right and the trust to have people open up and have a conversation with you. So myself and Patrick, again, as he mentioned, are working on for a particular software development company in England. And what we're attempting to do is create a load of articles, create a pile of content, and a pile of video that's all been created to help the audience, not about the company at all. It's about helping that audience, giving them as much value in written and verbal and poll and video content as possible, so they start to know, like, and trust the company as we do, so that they're willing to have a conversation, and hopefully that conversation leads to a really mutual beneficial conversation. But you have to start with the premise that you're not there to sell something to someone that they don't want. You're there to start with the premise that you're there to deliver tremendous value and you want to really, really help that person. So again, as we go through today, I'll talk about some of the techniques and some of the methods and some of the reasoning behind that, and how you can develop a social selling technique or methodology that will allow you to create opportunities to create brilliant connections. And I think, Patrick, that's one of the two things that you and I agree on, or one of the multiple things. If you create brilliant connections with people without expecting something, then those connections can combine together to create extraordinary relationships and extraordinary experiences. Absolutely. To allow you to have amazing business career. And if it doesn't turn into business, a bit like myself and Patrick here, you just end up meeting really amazing people online who you can establish great friendships with. And you're a fan of that as well.
Totally. And I see this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is that they get too quickly into a pitch or just trying to sell. I love bashing the mortgage brokers on LinkedIn, because I've never seen a mortgage broker that actually is a nice person and just saying, hey, how are you doing? They're just straight into the pitch. It's like there's a ton of mortgage brokers out there. Why would I choose somebody who's just want to pitch right away, right? So, and I know that can be, sometimes people can go, well, if I only give value, will people really come and buy from me, right? So can you answer that, Kieran? And I know, like, second question that I know that a lot of people have is, well, I've tried that, it didn't work. Like, how much effort and time and energy do you have to, how much value do you have to put in there? How many messages before that actually starts to pay off? Because I know it will pay off at some point.
Yeah, look, it's a brilliant question. I sort of answer that. And again, forget sales techniques and everything else. If we believe the premise that when we know, like, and trust someone, we're willing to engage with them, then in the real world, how do you build that same know, like, and trust? And the answer is, we like people who are like us. We like people who aren't out to just grab stuff from us. We like people who give us value. And I don't mean that in a nefarious sense or in a commercial sense, but the friends that we tend to connect with most are thinking about us first. And therefore, if you give out a lot of value, you tend to develop better friendships. And the same is true for business, because you don't sell to a company, you sell to another person. And what I found is, if you put out content that answers a pain point or a problem, or takes a view or constructively comments on a particular social platform, and let me use LinkedIn just for a moment, then what you find is people start to get to know you, and the more content you put out, the more relationships you form, the more people that start to like, or you start to like them. And if you start putting out, polls and surveys and articles, that's what I describe as, value in an outbound marketing context. Then I have found personally, in any of the companies that I've dealt with, have found that you suddenly create a ton of opportunities. And when you think about that, you're going back to, why should people, actually engage if you're not speaking? If you sit online and don't say anything, then nobody will know you're there. And if you take LinkedIn as an example, roughly 90% of people don't comment. They just watch. The nice term is called lurker, where they just sort of lurk in the background and not say anything. So immediately if you comment, people will start to see you. If you comment thoughtfully and carefully. So if you post out something, so for Antonio, if Antonio puts out an article, I'll not just say, great, nice. I'll comment back to that, and Antonio and I will start to get to know each other. If I recommend Antonio for a particular skill, knowing that He's a thought leader in the transformation space, of the digital space, and you can do that on LinkedIn. Again, I'm using that as an example. He's going to feel, a little bit more connected to me. If I then put out some articles and then send Antonio some articles and some links to, amazing TED Talks that inspire and that relate to his area of interest or expertise or a talk that he's done, he's now going to start to trust me. And the more I'm doing that, not for my benefit, but for Antonio's benefit, I know then that I can ask Antonio for a conversation. And if you use LinkedIn as an example, I can leave a voice message. I can do that via text message, or I can do that via video message. And then him and I can get offline, in other words, into a video call like that, or we might be able to meet up, although Antonio's in Portugal or in Lisbon, it's a bit blocked at the moment, but we'll have that conversation. And I guarantee you that Antonio will feel more disposed to deal with me or to think about me when he comes to make a purchase decision. And that's essentially what you're trying to do, is build great relationships with a number of people to create that opportunity where they think of you front and center. And if you do put out the articles, and the moment I put out something every day, that's not strictly necessary. You can do it 2 and 3 times a week just to stay in front and center of people's mind. And if you do LinkedIn, put out an article, it doesn't go very far, but it is a piece of thought leadership. And people use that as a judgment call to decide whether you're an expert. So I recommend that. You can put out a poll that goes everywhere, but be really tactical, because you don't want to just talk to anyone. You don't want to say, do you like cats or dogs? That's not going to result in, you ending up with a piece of business. It'll result in a wonderful network. But put out something, do you agree that, data analytics in a software engineering company is absolutely essential? Yes, no, don't know, please help. Something more specific and more tactical will speak to an audience. Then you can use whoever's liked that poll or commented that poll. You can start to look at their profile and connect with them. And I would recommend, if you're using LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever else, unless you're trying to get a job, then turn it into a CV. But if you're trying to get any sort of business, turn your profiles into something that speaks to your particular audience or to the niche that you want. Don't tell me that, you've won this sales award and that sales award or the other sales award. Tell me how you've actually helped customers. Show me a quote from a customer, and then I'll use that as social proof, another of these persuasion techniques that evidence the fact that you're real and that you've done something beneficial, a bit like Amazon 5 stars or the reviews. Show me the recommendations at the bottom of your profile from people who have benefited from whatever it is that you're doing. Again, more evidence of your thought leadership and your social proof and your ability to deliver great value to people. And just give because, you want to give tremendous value, because you will get that back. And as we were mentioning, as we were preparing for this, Patrick, over the last 18 months, I've moved from no followers, and it does take time to build an audience, to, something like 20,000 connections or followers. And the most fun part of that is not necessarily the business. It's getting to know people across the globe. It's now, if I have a question about a particular something, and my expertise is social media strategy, particularly LinkedIn, and also intelligent automation. If I have a question from anyone in the world, I'm now connected to some of the best people who I can ask that question of, and then me. But if I do want to sell something, that's available as well. But I don't go in with the intention to sell. Does that all make sense?
Absolutely. I want to stop you there, because you said so many actual already very, very practical tips, and I want to kind of rewind and go through some of those again. But first, I want to just jump on this that you just said now, that you started 18 months ago on LinkedIn, and now you have 20,000 connections. Is that just on LinkedIn?
That's my connections on LinkedIn. Recently, I started a YouTube channel as well, because my worry is LinkedIn are quite powerful and everybody builds networks and social media platforms, but LinkedIn could change the algorithm tomorrow, or they could decide that they don't like me connecting with people, because I try and connect with 5 interesting people every single day. I look at the profiles, I read a little bit about them. I look to see if we're somehow in a mutual interest group, or, it's someone who thinks slightly different to me, because it's a bit like a cake. Put in the same flavors, you'll get the same outcome. Put in different flavors and different thoughts and different ways of looking at things, then your mindset and your knowledge is massive. But if LinkedIn turned off the algorithm tomorrow or blocked me, then all of those wonderful connections would disappear. So I encourage me and others to jump onto YouTube, create WhatsApp groups, or go on another social platform and try and develop the audience there.
Transformation, data analytics. and social media
Their microphone open, or their
evolve using those technologies.
Jose, can you please mute yourself? I'm going to do that as well. I think that took care of it. So that's awesome. So that's really impressive. I mean, that inspires me. And I know I'm super lazy on LinkedIn. I'm a little bit blessed because I have 28,000 members in Meetup. People know me really well there. And my leads has kind of come to me without too much effort. After I build that, it's kind of just coming to me without too much effort. I've been way too lazy. And I really want to take it to the next level on LinkedIn. So that's really super inspiring to me that you build that kind of a following in a relatively short time. But I want to just cover one thing that you said, which was, don't say just this thing like, great tip or a good article or whatever. Go a little bit more in depth. And this is one of my things, which also applies to marketing. And by the way, I just had a brain fart, Kieran. How about we, instead of sharing 3 tips each, and then I share 3 tips in marketing, how about 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? We jump back and forth.
Go for it.
Yeah. So, no, but yeah, you said this thing about like, go a little bit more in depth, stand out. If you don't do something that is different than anybody else, you will not be noticed. It's as simple as that. And, I'm happy when people wish me happy birthday in my Facebook, for example, or on LinkedIn. That's great. It feels nice. But if you just say happy birthday, you're going to be doing the same thing as everybody else, and you are not going to be noticed. Like these days, if I say happy birthday to somebody, I do it either with audio, I do it with video, or I post them a cute or a funny picture, right? One of the best networkers I know, I was a guest on his show. He's the biggest podcast for the network marketing world. And every single year since then, he sends me a personalized happy birthday song on Facebook. Right.
Fantastic. And how do you feel about that, Patrick?
I feel great. I feel great. It's just putting a little bit of extra effort into a fewer connections that makes a big impact. And I said, so it was a great tip you shared there, Kieran. Also, the thing about
I think there's one more on that. One subtlety, Patrick. Over 90% of people don't put out anything at all on LinkedIn. Not an article, not a post, not a comment. So by immediately doing something, all of a sudden you're active. By again being much better at it, i.e., a thoughtful comment, because we like thoughtful comments. We don't like if you walk up to your friend and they ask you a question, you don't go, "Yep, no, great, fine." But we do that on LinkedIn. We wonder why people don't connect with us. We do that and we wonder why we don't develop relationships. Yep, totally. No, fine, great. It's unfathomable. So if you then, as you say, make a thoughtful comment, you will stand out. And we like that, and we'll feel like we'll resonate with individuals. If you can connect with me, and I have connected over travel and a whole host of things, I feel connected to you. If you sent me a voice message and a video message, and you can do that quite easily, just go to your mobile phone, go down to messages, press the plus or hold the microphone button. Nobody or next to nobody does it. It takes a little bit of effort, but by goodness, as you said, it's so unique and so special, and it shows you're thoughtful and have cared and taken time to do it.
By the way, I have 2 questions, and I didn't expect it, but you're sharing so many things, and I'm getting a lot of thoughts about it, because again, I know that for me as a marketing consultant, I should be on LinkedIn. I'm really not. I mean, I have over 6,000 followers or friends on LinkedIn, but I'm not posting anything. So 2 questions. So first of all, I've had people say people don't really like these audio messages on LinkedIn. But in fact, I know they work really well on Facebook. So what's your opinion of that? And then number 2, somebody like me that hasn't really been using LinkedIn at all. Like when I post something, even with 6,000 followers, I don't get many people that respond. And I assume that that's because of the algorithm. What could I do, for example, to quickly start to increase the algorithms, or to increase the amount of people that see my post and the engagements?
Okay, well, let me play that back in 2 parts, and I'm going to bring you in on the second question, which is how can you actually get noticed? Because there's a difference between putting out an article and just, a piece of text and then a great copywritten article, and going to lean on your expertise, as I have recently, Patrick, around the title and what you need to do to attract attention, and then graphics, and then your opening sentences, and then how you speak. So let me kind of push that back to you in 2 seconds. On the first one, voice. Yeah, look, everybody's different wants and needs. The problem with sales broadcasting, and I call it broadcasting to date, is that salespeople have adopted a technique and have went, right, there's 200 people, I'll send them the same darn message. And everybody is so used to seeing those same, packaged rubbish, for want of a better phrase, that we're bored and we're frustrated by it. And therefore, if you, look at your perfect client, and I recommend, if you're using this for building a client base, or if you're using it to build an expert network, go out and say, look, I'm not going to be for everyone in the world, and I don't want everyone in the world, and I don't need 10,000 people to make a living or to learn, something really amazing. If I could find 200 and identify what that looks like, so it might be, a firm over 30 employees who are in the United States or in the following business area, that's fine. Narrow it down, then go on to LinkedIn and look at, how active they are, and are they commenting or whatever else, and make some judgment calls, introvert, extrovert, all those things you can do or interpret. But I like a voice message, but it has to be a voice message that adds value. So a moment ago, you said, look, someone every year now sends you a birthday message. It's unique, it's tailored to you, it's very specific, it's genuinely done. That's a voice message I want. A voice message I don't want is, Kieran, look, we just connected yesterday. By the way, I have an amazing product to sell you, and it's an amazing motorhome, and they've not looked at my profile. They've not understood whether I drive or not. They've not understood what I like. They haven't taken a moment to actually read about me to connect meaningfully. And what you're starting to see on LinkedIn and on Twitter and a couple of others is people are putting keywords into their LinkedIn profile. And if you haven't read it and don't put in the keyword, they're just not accepting the connections anymore, because there's so many bad habits. So voice message, I recommend, as long as, and video's the same, don't make it 10 minutes, make it 30 seconds. Your first couple of your first 10 seconds in that, your elevator part of that, have to be, the sound as if you're talking to a friend. Immediately introduce yourself and sound interesting, or at least excited to talk to that person. Give me some value, and don't make it about yourself or a sales call day one. Make it something personal to that individual and give them a reason to want to connect back. Sound like a friend they've never met, but not overly familiar. And it's the same with video. Now, on the articles and about commenting or talking, look, with 6,000 followers, it's brilliant. With 600, it's amazing. And with 60, it's still good. You can put content out there. And again, it's not about the size of your audience, Patrick. It's about the quality of the audience. And it's not about the quantity of your output. It's about the quality of the output. Yeah. So if you're putting something out there, polls go really well on LinkedIn, carousels go really well on LinkedIn, and a piece of text with a video or with a picture on it go really well, as long as there's a great copywritten title. The first couple of lines are really interesting. And again, you're attempting to answer the problem of the person in front of you, or you're showing some thought leadership to become part of a network, not the fact you're going a bit like, as I say, it's a bit like a cocktail party. You turn up and you ask the person to marry you who you've never met, or you try and sell them something. The moment you've connected or walked up to them in a room, it doesn't work. It never has and never will. And now in a social space, it's harder than ever to stand out because so many people are trying to do it, but you can stand out quite quickly by offering value and creating a meaningful connection. But we recently worked on some articles together for this company, the software engineering company. Tell us about the titles, because you changed my titles to be really well copywritten, and you also changed the body of the text.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
It was like homework. Yeah. My homework, I failed. I got a D, and then you turned it into a good B or an A.
Yeah. So this is my favorite topic of how to choose words that get the attention of your marketplace and basically turn your words into gold, right? Because words are just absolutely magical. My favorite example is I had a free session with a lady that had a diet. It was a kind of a diet food advice, healthy food, healthy recipes and that kind of stuff. And she was doing quite well. And I took a look at her landing page in her lead magnet, basically how to get people to subscribe to her newsletter. And within 30 minutes, it came out with a different headline, and she increased her lead flow by over 600%. Now that's the power of words. You just change a slight, you make a slight difference sometimes in the word, and it can be in the landing page, in your emails, in your sales letters, in your brochures. It is absolutely magical. So I'm going to share what I call the 3 incredibly quick ways you can improve your copy and conversion. And by the way, if you're kind of new to this marketing area and copywriting, copywriting has nothing to do with copyrights. Copywriting simply means writing words for the purpose of selling, whether it's in an email or an ad or sales letter. So that's copywriting. So when I say copy, I mean the words. So there are 3 incredibly quick ways that you can improve your copy. Before I do that, I want to just tell you a little bit about why people fail in marketing. Like, what is it that the overall, as I see, the overall mistake people make in marketing? And here it is. Like, the number one thing I see is that people think to begin with, and I get this question all the time, Patrick, how can we get our word out to the world? How can we get more people to see our messages? How can we get more traffic? Okay. Now, if you're just starting out, I mean, it may be that this is what you need to be looking for, but in 90 to 95% of the cases, it is not. Okay. And why is that? It seems kind of counterintuitive, illogical, that you shouldn't be thinking about how can we get our messages out to as many people as possible. The reason for that is that you need to focus on getting your message right first, because once you get your message right, people will respond anywhere. I also get this question, where should we be marketing? Should it be Facebook or there or this or whatever? It really doesn't matter that much. I mean, it can, I'm not saying it's not important at all. I'm just saying, if you got the right message, people will respond in the real world. They will respond at an event. They will respond on Facebook. They will respond on LinkedIn. So you must be absolutely insanely focused on finding the right message that connects with your marketplace, gets them to pay attention, and gets them to respond. Because that's another thing. People think it's all about getting attention. No, it's not. It's about getting people to respond and to buy from you. So once you have a sales funnel that is profitable, where the messaging is tweaked so you get more money in than you put, more money in than you pay, well, pay for the traffic. You just pay for the traffic. It's no big deal. It's no problem getting tons of traffic. What you need to focus on is getting a sales funnel first that works. And that is all based on a great marketing message. Okay, so let's get to the first, what I call blisteringly fast conversion booster, number 1. So pay attention here, folks. Take some notes, okay? And this might sound a little bit boring, but bear with me, because I'm going to turn it into something fun. Well, at least I think it's really, really fun. So the first blisteringly fast conversion booster is using adjectives, okay? So an adjective is actually a word that changes the quality of a noun. For example, old or blue or fast or quick. So notice in here in the intro, I was telling you I was going to share 3 incredibly quick ways you can improve your copy. Now, I could have said 3 ways you can improve your copy. Okay, 3 ways you can improve your copy. But by saying 3 incredibly quick ways, you make it stand out. First of all, it sounds different, which is absolutely crucial in marketing. You must be different. And it's in everything. It's in your headlines, it's in your social media posts, it's in your emails. So can you see how instead of just saying 3 ways you can improve your copy, saying 3 incredibly quick ways you can improve your copy, it makes it stand out and makes it much more interesting. I could have said the 7 tried and tested ways that you can improve, or the 7 unusual ways that you can improve, the 7 counterintuitive ways that you can improve. You see how just having that adjective added to the noun, it makes it incredibly much more interesting. As I said, adjectives really like almost like ice cream for the brain. The brain loves them. And maybe this would even be, I should call it ice cream with super glue, because not only people may pay more attention to it, but they'll also remember it better. Okay, the more unusual something is, by the way, I used to teach memory classes, and I used to impress people because I memorized a list of 1,000 words that I organized by the numbers. So anything that people said, like say they said duck, for example, I can tell them which word came before and after. I could literally say these 1,000 words. And one of the ways that you become good at memory is that you create pictures in your mind that are unusual. People will not pay attention to something ordinary or mundane, and they can't remember it. The more unusual something is, the more they pay attention to it, and the more they'll remember it. Okay. So, and that brings me to the second one, and then I'll give the word back to Kieran. And then I'll cover the third and final one after Kieran has covered another one. So the next one, blisteringly fast conversion booster, is using word pictures. Word pictures, and to give you an example of what that is I actually just used one when I said it's like ice cream for the brain. Instead of just saying a brain loves adjectives, it's like almost like, so what? When I said like ice cream for the brain, it creates an image inside your mind. And by the way, our brain is by far more tilted towards processing information that is visual as opposed to any other sensory input. It is, I can't remember the exact percentages, but it is very, very, very dominantly visual, right? So if you can create pictures, something that makes people see these images in their mind, that is something that makes them pay attention to it and remember it. So, and the great thing here is that, like, let's say that you're really not that much into ice cream, or you're a vegan, you don't eat ice cream. I guess there's vegan ice cream is now as well, but you get my point. Even if you're not bothered about ice cream, people will still understand and relate to this analogy, because they understand and know that almost everybody in the world loves ice cream, right? So you compare it to something that they know. And it doesn't have to be something they love. It could be something that they hate. You want them to have a negative associations towards something. You want them to go away from. So, but using word pictures is incredible. And I'll leave the last tip to a little bit later, and I'll give the word back to Kieran. So Kieran, what do you got for us? And by the way, you can ask questions in the text, but also, of course, we will open up for questions towards the end.
Yeah, I love that phrase, Patrick, word pictures, because most people, as you say, that I come across are quite visual as well. So if you can paint a picture, fantastic. And that picture is a mixture. If I look at social media platforms, I call it, it's like a motorway. And everybody is traveling down the motorway at 60 miles an hour, and they could be doing something else as opposed to looking at your particular post or article or thought leadership or whatever else it is. So the question you need to ask yourself is, how can I get them to stop all of a sudden scrolling, to pay attention to what I'm producing, to get them to actually start to potentially engage with what I'm doing? And the answer is that word pictures, a very short title, 6, 7, 8 words, not 20 words, because people don't have time to read it. Use your adjectives, use your noun, and get them to stop posting because you've come up with an interesting title or an interesting copywritten title. The first 3 lines of most social media posts are the key lines as well. So whatever you're trying to do, paint that picture in those first 3 lines. Use a picture. So you can use a picture that attracts people's eyes. As you say, Patrick, a picture of ice cream, immediately going, what's that about? Or show me pictures of people, because we're naturally inquisitive about where people are at. And you can go on to, a variety of different websites, Unsplash, for example, that'll give you free pictures and free images that you can then move into Canva and even put some text on top of those as well. When you have stopped people in their tracks with those nicely written word pictures or whatever, Now you've got their attention, add value in the body of the text. Now that's very much me presenting something on screen. What I would recommend is, as people then engage with your text, make or start meaningful connections. So anybody who likes your post, who's made a comment, who has followed or voted in your poll, that's suddenly someone, to Patrick's point, you can go in and look to see if they're potentially a perfect candidate or audience member or customer or member of your thought leadership group. Go in and then start to connect meaningfully with them. So maybe they haven't seen your last article. This gives you an opportunity to connect with a meaningful comment, and then gives you an opportunity to point back to your prior article, your prior thought leadership, your prior poll, or whatever else, and offer them that connection as well. So anytime you do produce a piece of content that's designed to stop someone going down the proverbial motorway at 60 miles an hour, that's the first phase. But the second one is just to make sure your content gets out there, send it to them. You asked me a question earlier on, Patrick, about 6,000 of an audience, and sometimes your content isn't seen by people. Well, two reasons is, one, it's in amongst 1,001 other things and you haven't made it unique enough for me to stop. I'll keep scrolling. The second one is, if you take LinkedIn as the example, what it will do is put out your piece of thought leadership or poll or whatever to a certain proportion of that 6,000. And then there's something called the golden hour. And in that golden hour, what the algorithm is doing is checking, are people stopping? Are people clicking? Are people dwelling? Are people reading this? Are they sharing it? And are they commenting? So it's looking at all these things to determine algorithmically whether people have found it interesting or not. And that's where a really good copywritten title and really something of value that talks to that audience will get your audience to stop. And if enough people engage and comment and like and share, the algorithm goes, oh gosh, that must be interesting. And therefore what I'll do is I'll give it to another proportion of your audience. And if that same proportion of your audience start to like and engage and comment on it, the algorithm goes, this must be fascinating. And therefore I will send it out to a wider and wider audience. And that's what's happening all the time in the background.
So, hey, I know I'm really selfish here and asking a lot of questions that like this for my benefits, because again, I want to master LinkedIn now, get more into it. But I promise we'll open up for questions very, very quickly. And I hope that my questions also will benefit, or the answers to my questions will benefit you. So here's the thing. So when posting content, should I be posting the content on LinkedIn, like where I publish it on LinkedIn, or should I be posting a link to the content on my website, for example, or elsewhere on LinkedIn?
Yeah, brilliant question. So let me answer that. And there's a slight oddity or twist in my answer. If you step behind any social media platform, their purpose is to get you to go onto it and then stay on it. So if you start to post content away from the platform, what you're essentially doing is telling people, leave, just leave. And therefore, to a degree, the algorithm doesn't want you to do that, nor does the company, because they're making advertising dollars for you being on it. And therefore, your post may not go to as wide an audience as possible, because you're encouraging them to leave and go to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever else it is, your own website. So that's kind of box number one. Box number two is, and this is what I would recommend to people, because remember, SEO was a big thing and not everybody's on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook. I say put the article onto your website if you're going to do that, because again, you want it indexed, you want people to come to your website and see that thought leadership. Then a couple of days later, or a day later, after the Google engine has spidered it or went all over it, put it onto your LinkedIn profile. And if it's a company, post it in a company page. If it's an individual, post it on your individual page. So now you've put it out 3 times. So you've 3 times the audience that you might have got if you only put it on one platform. What I would then recommend, and again, this is the interesting bit about the algorithm, very few people write articles and very few people write videos, and to do so really demonstrates your thought leadership, unlike maybe putting out a quick poll or a quick post. They don't say much. They're like cocaine for a search engine. Lots of hits, lots of views, but articles less so. But I still recommend you put out an article, and I reckon you put out a video, because that truly evidences thought leadership. So I will put out a video or an article one day, and the next day, what I will do is have a really interesting short headline, a really great image or graphic, and I will say, I've just posted a great video, you might like it, please go here. And all of a sudden the algorithm looks at my post, it really explodes. And then what you find is that people start to go to the article. What I would then recommend, and by the way, this is like creating a spider's web method of getting your article seen, is if you can put a statistic in your article of some sort. You might do a poll, do a bit of research, put that into your article. I would then publish the statistic the next day saying, look, really interesting statistic, and you'll be better at the wordology of this than me, Patrick. It shows that. And by the way, if you want to read more, here's a link to my article. And then you can put it onto your website or LinkedIn or whatever. And again, remember, have put some calls to action on this. The bottom of the article is, if you want to know more, please call Patrick. Here's my email, follow me, like it, comment, or here's my phone number. Put it in at the bottom of every post, put in a call to action or a variety of calls to action to let people comment. But again, I use the statistic to point back to the article. I may take an interesting paragraph out of the article. I may take 3 because that's 3 different posts. And again, I'm going, really interesting fact, using word pictures and using adjectives and noun to get people to stop and look at this and be interested, to want to go, oh, I wonder what the rest of the article's like. And again, I'll point that to the article. So even though I've only written one piece of thought leadership, I've put it out in 3 or 4 locations in full format. And then I've used a poll, a statistic, a part of the article and whatever else to create a variety of other posts. The main article being the pillar content, and everything else points to the pillar content, and each of them have calls to action. All those things I'm doing. And I may, if it's a good enough article or good enough, and we call it lead magnet, it might be worth just explaining that concept in a moment, Patrick. I might put that as a key piece of literature on my profile, because on LinkedIn or something else, you can tag key posts that you have done, so that when people come to your profile, they go, I wonder what they've written about. I wonder what their area of expertise is. Cool. So if you talk about that lead magnet, that might be helpful for people as well.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, a lead magnet it's fairly simple concept. It's something that you create to attract leads, and it should be something that is preferably free. So it's very easy. It makes it like a no-brainer decision for people to try it out. And it should be demonstrating your expertise, of course, and it should be targeted towards your super targeted market, chosen market. It doesn't have to be free. It can be, but it should be something that is a very, very easy decision to make. So like, for example, if you're having a piece of software that normally costs, £100 a month or whatever, make a trial of 15 days for £1 or something like that. Just something incredibly cheap and easy to make that decision, to get started, to get into your world, so where you will have that chance to start influencing them step by step until they become a customer, until they become super fan and stay with you forever and recommend you to everybody.
Yeah, I've also seen, and you made a great point there, Patrick. I call something gated and ungated. Let me explain that concept. Gated is when I'm asking you for a commitment, in other words, an email address or a phone number or your name. And what has happened over the last couple of years is that many sales folks have got you to sign up to something, and the next minute you're absolutely inundated with sales messages. It's horrible. Nobody likes it. It's that, going back to the cocktail party, someone I don't know has turned up and now they're bombarding me with buy this, buy this, buy this. Doesn't work, or doesn't work very well these days. What I would recommend is, if you're going to do that, make sure it's immense value, and then connect gently to get people to know, like, and trust before you buy. But research has shown that if you don't gate it and you give it away for free, here's a link, an amazing piece of value. You can do really word picture, sell this, build a real, tick, 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 why you would want it, give it away for free, and then have some light calls to action in the bottom of it, or at the back of it, say, look, if you want to talk, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Connect with me here, 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 or here. Give people a variety of methods to want to do that. Or again, post it on LinkedIn or a social platform, and everyone who's gone to it, you can then see them, and then you can look at the profiles and determine whether they're your right customer or not. And again, start that sales funnel process again, connecting gently, giving value, recommending, sending an article, sending whatever. And then you can start to increase the commitment that you want back from someone, having given a lot of information. You created and the technical term is reciprocity. If I give and give and give in increasing amounts, you will feel that you should give me something back. And therefore, that's at a point where I may say, turn up at a webinar, which you could use again as a lead magnet. You can show your expertise, your authority, get people interested, and afterwards they might want to come to you, or send them an article, again, something valuable that talks to their pain point and their problem. It's not an advert. It is not a sales brochure for your company. Give away tremendous value without giving away all your secrets. Add some calls to action on the back of that as well, and you're more likely to get people to want to come and talk to you as well, because they know, like, and trust you.
By the way, if you want to keep on connecting, I kind of forgot that I set up this group on on LinkedIn for Founder Nation. Again, Entrepreneurs in London is slowly going to be merging into Founder Nation, which we are scaling on. We're scaling online and we're scaling worldwide. But I completely forgot I have this group on LinkedIn for Founder Nation, and we're like, I had 12 applications to join, and I think we're over 70 members. So I need to start using that. Of course, on Facebook, of our group for Founder Nation is almost 3,000 people. So if you want to find us on Facebook, if you're more a Facebook person, find us on LinkedIn, and find me personally and Kieran personally on LinkedIn as well.
Patrick, we have 10 minutes, so we better open to questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to really quickly share this last tip that I promised, the blisteringly fast conversion booster. Number 3, putting more personality into your copy. So lots of people, they have a challenge in really showing their personality. It's like they don't really want to stand out. But the problem is, you're not going to succeed in business if you don't stand out. And not just your business, you personally have to do something to stand out, right? And one of the greatest ways that you can do that is by your personality, because nobody can copy your personality, right? So if you let people see who you really are, what you stand for, what you don't like, what you like. You don't want to be vanilla. You want to be a little bit of polarizing, and don't be afraid of scaring people away. It's fine if you scare people away. I know that I scare some people away. People don't like me. That's absolutely fine, because some people do, right? So who cares? You don't want to appeal to everybody. One of the ways that I do, I like using humor, and I like people that don't take themselves too seriously. I like working with people like that. So that's why in my email send off, by the way, most people say, have a nice day, or even worse, regards. I mean, oh my God, I hate that when somebody says that, regards to me, because it's so impersonal. So what I say, for example, is have a brilliant day, and may the high conversion be with you, right? So what that does is, first of all, it makes almost everybody smile, because they know it's a reference to Star Wars. You know, may the force be with you. And it talks about what I'm all about, what my business is all about, is increasing conversion, right? Have a brilliant day, and may the high conversion be with you. It stands out. It shows I don't take myself too seriously. Of course, Star Wars fans love it. I'm not necessarily looking for Star Wars fans, but it's an added benefit. And again, it reiterates what I'm about. So with that, I hope that was valuable for people. Let's open up for questions, if anybody have any questions. And by the way, before you leave, I have, and I know Kieran also probably have a little bit of a gift for you. If you want me to take a look at your marketing pieces to see how we could potentially create some more leads for you, more conversions, more sales, you can go and book some free time with me, and I will type in the link here in a second. It's basically patrickempowers.com/free-MO as for marketing optimization session. That is it. So Kieran, before we open up for questions, where can people find you, and what do you have for them?
Where I live, LinkedIn. And if you want me to look at your profile just in general to make some comments on it, to how you can optimize it for whatever your audience you want, or whatever you want to do, just give me a shout, and I'll spend a bit of time with you as a thank you for turning up today.
By the way, Kieran, you're black. You're dark. We can't see you.
Oh, why is my camera gone slightly skew-iffy again? Don't know why. Let's see. I'm not too sure why that's
something is happening now.
I don't know why it's going on, but I would say get me on LinkedIn, and then if I'm, I'll try and jump onto your profile as well. Let me try and swap cameras just in the meantime.
Cool. All right. So, folks, any questions? Okay, let's see, any questions? Thank you all, no questions, people are shy today.
Very shy, aren't
So
they?
Kieran, if you can type in your LinkedIn profile so people can connect with you.
I'll go find that.
And
One thing I
by the
would
way,
say,
I forgot
Patrick,
to say that we're planning to do these on a regular basis, with new tips every single time. And if you're coming back, you're more than welcome to also bring your marketing pieces. Or bring any specific questions about a specific campaign, and I'll be happy to kind of review it. All right. So is there, Angela says, we missed the opening part, so is there a recording link, please? We will have that at some point, yes.
I'm just going to put in my LinkedIn. There you go, folks, in the notes of this.
Oh, I've made a big mistake, a big boo-boo here. I'm not good at multitasking. Women are so much.
That's inherent. That's inherent in males, Patrick. We're not multitaskers.
By a mistake, I've sent a message that was supposed to be to everyone. I've sent that only to Ash. So here we go. Here's my LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile. You want to connect with me, and also the link for my free marketing optimization session is right there. There you go.
Yep.
And yes, we
Has
will
anybody
have
got any? Yeah. Has anybody got any other questions? If not, I'll make one hopeful point. Antonio, not the real Antonio. What's your question?
So as I say, and Ash says, I thought I was special since I sent him the message. You are special, Ash. It's just that everybody needed to have it. So yes.
Sorry.
Daniela.
I've been seeing some polls on LinkedIn that you shouldn't do your offer for your first approach once you're selling something. I'm on sales now, and I'm bringing a startup to Brazil, and I really think it's much more important for me to build relationships, build trust, because we are developing a product and we're gonna have problems. So I really must be in a good relationship with the people I'm selling to. But what would be the best first approach? I don't go to everybody. I really do my research before. But anyway, I like to go straight to the point, because if the person is not interested, she says, Daniela, I'm not interested. Thank you.
Yeah, I suppose let me start and then Patrick jump in. I suppose not everyone's the same. Not every one of your audience is the same. And therefore, some people will just like the direct approach. Look, Daniela, what do you want? Make it quick because the world is moving really fast and I don't have time. Someone else will want to go, actually, I don't know you. I'm not too sure if I like you, and I don't know if I can trust you because you're one of maybe, on LinkedIn, 794 million people, and therefore, why should I do business with you? My recommendation is, and it ends on the point that Patrick made a moment ago. Notice he's very unique and very individual. He doesn't want everyone. And if you really want to engage with people who are like you, because that will make business a lot more fun, then trying to find people that you have some, and the technical phrase is unity with. In other words, you have similar interests, similar likes, similar personalities. You have something to offer that they can benefit from, and therefore go and look for that audience member and say no to lots of people. Actually, a real key part of business is saying no to more things than you say yes to. And then I would recommend put out a webinar, for example, talk, get people to see and know and like you, offer tremendous amounts of value, and if they're interested, they can come to it. Try that and see how your audience or potential audience responds. Now, remember, to get people to turn up to a webinar, though, if you're talking about your industry, which is unique, and you're only after a certain number of people, that's a heck of a commitment, because I can be doing 1,001 other things than turning up. And therefore, what I would truly recommend is spend a little bit of time getting to know, like, and trust them, comment on their posts, like what they've got to say, connect with them meaningfully, read their LinkedIn profile, look at their Twitter, look at their posts, look at the events that they've turned up to, check the sports societies they're a member of, find something that connects you. So if you both play water polo, brilliant. You can start to, don't do that in first post. Great to see you do water polo. Let's connect and I'll sell you something, but just gently connect, start to like what they're doing, make meaningful comments, recommend them for something, then start to add and give value, and then ask them to commit to something like a webinar, or to read an article, or to read your lead magnet device, because that's actually a commitment in this day and age. Patrick, what would you think?
Oh, I actually, like, if I find something that I share in common with them, I mention it right away. But of course, I don't go into the selling, right? So like if they're into cats, for example, I say, oh, I see you're a cat person, you know, like I love cats, you know, what kind of cats do you have? I actually go and I find it to be like, if somebody does that with me, I find it to be very personal. I love it. And I find it to be very effective when I do it as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
so
Different
yeah,
people. Patrick's more outgoing than me. I'm more reserved. I want to take my time to get to know you, and that's the key bit. It isn't the same method for everyone. And if you go in with a formula, Daniela, you will win with some and you'll struggle with others. That's why my personal one is try things and see what works best for your different types of audience.
Great. Thank you.
However, if we're talking about cat people, cat people are so passionate about their cats. They will love it. I mean, I'm almost certain they will love any mentioning of cats. So like with that particular, in that particular instance, I think it'll work really, really well every single time, or almost every single time.
I hope my buyers like cats.
We like cats.
Super duper. Any other questions? Let's see now. Ray says really great value. Patrick and Kieran, love the practical tips. Awesome. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say also, like again, because we're going to come back and do these on a regular basis. Go to the Founder Nation groups, either on LinkedIn or Facebook, and tell us what you would like us to cover, like any specific things you would like us to cover, so we can prepare that from the beginning.
And just thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to come along. It's great fun. Myself and Patrick, by the way, can talk for hours. So if we've got an audience, all the better. But look, really appreciate it. Hopefully that was helpful. Do connect with us. And if we can add whatever value or insights that we can from our experience, we certainly will. As I said at the beginning, we got really frustrated with other people talking a pile of rubbish and putting it out there. This is not about selling anything to anyone. It's just about what we've learned. We're more than happy to share. And we believe we'll create an amazing connection with amazing people that will enrich our personal and professional lives as well. So look, really thank you all.
Thank you. And thanks to Kieran as well for doing this with me. I think this was first, really good first session. So I definitely want to continue this. So folks, have an amazing time and hopefully see you soon somewhere, either online or in the real world. Bye for now.